Hello and welcome to How to Edit in Adobe Photoshop CS6. My name is Chase Hobbin, and today I'm going to be editing 6 different images by creating 6 different effects using some of the various tools that Adobe Photoshop has to offer. To start out with, we're going to be editing a picture of a kitty, and to bring in an image, all you have to do is go to your image and drag it into Photoshop. I find that to be the easiest way to do it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to make a quick selection of the cat here using what's called the quick selection tool, which is right here. See, it's called the quick selection tool. And you want to make sure that this button here is selected, and then you just want to carefully select the kitty by dragging around. I'm going to be right back as soon as I get it the way that I like it. Alright, and one quick note I forgot to mention is that you can use this button here to remove some of the selection you didn't want. So like right here, I went a little too far. You just click it and kind of drag it up so that only your image is selected. So now we want to do is we want to right click and click Layer via Copy. And this is going to make a new layer over here of just our image. Sorry about that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer based upon the layer we just created, and we can do that with the keyboard shortcut Command Option J. And you must be in Photoshop to do that. And then it's going to give you these options, but we don't need to change anything with that for now. So now I've created a new layer, and now what we're going to do in this layer is we're going to desaturate it, which means we're going to make it black and white. And we can do that with another keyboard shortcut, and that is Command Shift U. Alright, now we're going to give a filter to the new layer that we have created. And to do that, we're first going to copy this layer again. And then we're going to go to the filter menu right here. And we're going to go to blur. And then we're going to go to motion blur. And here we're going to have the angle set to 0, and we're going to have the distance set to 95 pixels, which is the default, thankfully. And now you can see that the kitty here is blurry. So now here, we're going to go to the Layer Mask button, which is right here. We're going to click that. And then we're going to press B to quickly go to the brush tool, which is actually a pencil for me, so I need to go right click it and go to the brush tool. And then we're going to press D so that black becomes our background color. And you can see that's changed down here. And we actually need to make it, we actually need to leave it like that, I believe. So now we're going to go up to our options bar, and we're going to set the opacity to 10%. And we are also just going to leave it like that. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to paint over the kitty's face just so that we can see some of his features like his eyes and his nose and his mouth. This might take a minute, so I might just stop it here and come back when I'm done. Alright, I'm back, and as I was working I noticed a couple of things. First of all, the black needs to be the foreground, not the background color, and so before it looked like that, and so all I have to do is click this arrow to make black the foreground color over the front box. And I also chose a airbrush soft round 50% flow brush to do my work, and I just increased the pixels a little bit. I made the opacity 10%, and then I made sure that the mask was selected right here, and then I just kind of painted back some of his facial features, like his nose and his mouth a little, and definitely his eye, because that's the most prominent part, sort of. And you can see what it looked like before I did it and after. So the face is looks a little better. So now we're going to merge all of our layers together by pressing Command Option Shift E. And that just creates a new layer of all of our layers merged together, which is really nice. And so now we're going to go to the filter menu. We're going to go to Distort, and we're going to select Diffuse Glow, which isn't here. So how we're going to find that is we're going to actually go to our filter gallery, which has a few more filters for us to use. So now we can go down to this folder of Distort and click Diffuse Glow. And we're going to have the graininess set to 10, the glow amount to 10, and the clear amount to 10. And that's the default, so it works perfect. You can see that it's added the filter. So now we're going to make another quick selection of the kitty, and we're going to make it into a new layer, and I'll be right back when I've got that all done. Alright, I'm back, and you can see that I've created my new layer over here of just the kitty with the diffuse glow filter. So now we're going to get a little crazy and a little weird, and just so you know, I just did this for fun, and it doesn't reflect any of my values or morals or religious beliefs. Anyways, so now we're going to bring in the background image that I want to use. And it's very tiny for whatever reason. And when you adjust an image like that, then there is always a checkbox over here that you have to check to make sure that that's the way you wanted it. So like I just adjusted it again, so just select that again. So yeah. Now that I've adjusted that, we need to drag this so it's behind our kitty. So now our kitty is within this image. And so now we just need to move the kitty to our choosing. Not move that. I'm going to move it right about there. Yeah, like right there. Make sure I hit OK. Looks pretty good, or as good as it gets. And then also, I'm going to hide the rest of my layers so that only this is visible, because I don't want any of the rest of that crap in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to just a moment. Alright, I'm back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and hit this button, which is the new filler adjustment layer button, and we're going to choose a solid color. Oops. You want to make sure that this layer is selected. Go to your solid color. We're going to choose a red color, hit OK, and then we're going to go to the layer blend mode options here. We're going to scroll down, and we're going to choose color. And there you go. And so now, I guess the last thing you could do, and I'm going to do it as well, is I'm going to choose my rectangle tool here, and I'm going to make sure it's black, and I'm just going to fill in these red outsides. Oops. I want to do that. I suppose it's worth mentioning too, if you make a mistake like you're definitely going to make, then all you have to do is click back in this history panel over here, and it'll go back to whatever you want it to. And then you can also just draw on any other little rectangles, just to get rid of any other unwanted areas. So that is how you make a kitty appear very evil in Photoshop. Now let's move on to our second image. Alright, just a couple more things before we move on to our second image, actually. Actually, you can make this look a little bit nicer if you go and make sure that this layer, I believe, is selected. And then you can turn down the opacity a bit. And it looks a little more ghostly, I guess you could say. A little more creepy, I guess. That's kind of how I like my final image to be. And also I'm going to show you how to save. So if you just want a picture like a normal JPEG file, you have to actually go to File and click Save As, and then go to this drop down arrow, hit JPEG, just to make sure that it turns into a JPEG file, and then just save it wherever you choose. And I'm not gonna save it actually, because I don't have any need for it at the moment. Alright, so now we're done with this. We're gonna move on to our next one. Alright, I've got my second image loaded in, which is a picture of yours truly screaming in a terrified manner. To start out with, we're gonna copy the background layer with Command Option J. Oops, have to be in Photoshop. Command Option J. OK. And now we're going to desaturate the layer with Command Shift U. And now we're going to copy that desaturated layer with Command Option J. And now we're going to change the blending mode from normal to color dodge. And now we're going to press Control I to invert the layer. Just a second. Alright, I'm back. I actually found out that it's Command I. Oops. Be in Photoshop. Make sure it's actually Command I to invert the image. And so it makes it completely white, which is a little funny, but it'll all work out in a second. So now we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and then Gaussian Blur. And we are going to change our radius to 10 pixels. And OK. And so now we're going to add a new adjustment layer, which is right here, I believe. No, we're going to go to here. And we need to choose levels. And so now we're going to brighten our middle slider to 1.6. Alright, now we're going to bring back some of the face using the brush tool. And we're going to want to make sure that our layer 1 copy here is selected. And we're going to make sure our brush tool is selected. And we're going to choose an airbrush soft round 50% flow brush. And we're going to leave it at 45 pixels. That'll work for us. We're going to have the opacity at 12% and the flow to 100%. And we're just going to slowly start just bringing back in some of the areas that we want darkened up again, like quite a bit of the face, really. I'll pause and I'll come right back when I'm done. Alright, I'm back. And now what we want to do is that we want to make sure black is selected here. And we're going to go up to we're going to go to Image, and we're going to go to Duplicate, and we're going to check this box that says Duplicate Merge Layers Only, and we're going to hit OK. And so now it's created another window. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to Filter, we're going to go to Sharpen, and we're going to go to Unsharp Mask. And we're just going to leave these as they are, and we're going to hit OK. And that does it for our second image. It's fully completed, and I'll be back when I've loaded in our next image. Alright, now let's get started on our third image. First thing we want to do is we want to make a copy of our image, which we're going to do with Command Option J. Oops. I always forget, you have to be in Photoshop. Command Option J. Alright. Now we're going to go to Filter, and we have to go to the Filter Gallery. And we are going to go to Sketch, and we are going to choose Photocopy. We're going to set our detail to 24 and our darkness to 10, which is already here for us. Alright. Now we're going to go to Filter. We're going to go to Sharpen. We're going to Sharpen More. And we're going to do that 3 more times. So Filter, Sharpen, Sharpen More. Alright, so we've sharpened more 4 times. So now we're going to choose Overlay as our blending mode. So it brings back the color. And now we're going to select our original layer and modify the colors by going to Image, Adjustments, and then Hue Saturation. And we're going to set our saturation to 100. And that does it for our third image. Nice and quick one. And I'll be right back when I've loaded in our fourth image. Alright, I'm back and I've got our fourth image loaded in. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make a copy. And now we're going to desaturate with Command-Shift-U. And now we're going to apply something called auto levels with Command-Shift-L. And that just kind of evens it out a little bit. Now we're going to go to Select, and we're going to click Edit in Quick Mask mode. And now we're going to select a pencil tool, which is under our brush tool. And we can get to that by right-clicking the brush tool. And now what we're going to do is we're going to draw around our image. But first, make sure that the size here is 5 and that your hardness is 100. And I'm going to draw this around and I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. Alright, I'm back. As you can see, I've taken my pencil and I've outlined our friend Willie here. And just so you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can go outside a little bit and the end result will still be perfectly fine. You can also cut off some of the areas that you don't want to as you do this. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to press Q to make our quick mask into a selection after we've used our paint bucket here to fill in Willie with the rest of the mask. And now we can press Q to make it into a selection. So now we're going to press Command Delete, which fills the outside of our image with white. And now we can press Command D to get rid of our selection. Now we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and then posterize. And we are going to set this to 2. We're going to hit OK. And now we're going to go to Filter, Noise, and then Median. And we're going to leave this at 7 pixels. And we're going to hit OK. Alright. Now we're going to go to the Effects button down here. And we're going to choose a stroke. We're going to set our position to inside. And we're going to set the size to 175. Okay. Now we need to go to our Channels tab. And we need to click the Load Channel as Selection button, which is right here. Takes a second. Alright. Now what we need to do is press Command-Shift-I to invert our selection. Alright. Now we're going to create a new layer back in our Layers tab over here. Pressing this right here. Oops. Wrong. It's actually right here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to select the gradient tool, which is right here. And we're going to choose a linear gradient, which I'm a little confused. Oh, that's the shapes tool. Silly me. If only I could remember where it was. I have this problem. It's by the paint bucket tool. So make sure your gradient tool is selected. And now we can make sure. Whoa. Right here. We need to make sure that this is selected because that's our linear gradient. And now we can click our gradient box. And now you can see that I've already got the color I want already selected. But the way you change it is you click this lower box here, and then you would choose the color that you wanted to use. In this case, it's a brown color. And then you can also make it so that you can put another color here, and then it'll actually have a real gradient look. I'm just doing this to show you that you could do a gradient look. Like you could choose a white over here and it would go from brown to white. But I actually just want it to be a solid brown color. So now we can just leave it at that. And so now we're going to hold Shift at the bottom of our image. We're going to click, and we're going to drag up to the top of our image. And we release, and our color has filled in our selection. So now all we do is deselect our selection with Command D. And now we're going to create another layer beneath our top layer. All you do is slide that layer down by clicking and dragging. And now we're going to click on the foreground color here, and we're going to choose a color. And I'm actually going to choose a bit of a yellow color. Yellowish orange, maybe. Looks alright. Now hit OK. And so now we're going to press Option Delete to fill in the background with our color. And voila! Our fourth image is completed. I'll be right back when I've got the fifth image loaded in. Alright, now I've got our fifth image set up, and we actually need 2 images to create our final image. This image of my dad, and then Nick Cage over here. And to start out with, we're going to need to leave this as it is. We're going to go over here, and we're actually going to do a little editing on Nicholas. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our crop tool and we're going to have it at 50 by 50 up here. And then we're going to, whoops, crop preview. Okay. Oops. Strange. All right. Let's take, anyway. Now we got it. All right. Now that we've got that, we're going to hit OK. And we're going to go to the image, and we're going to go to image size. We're going to set the resolution to 72, and we're going to change the height and width to 50. And we're going to hit OK. All right. And then we've already got this image over here set to a resolution of 72. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to image, and we're going to go to file, and we're going to go to new. We're going to create a new canvas, and we're going to have it 100 by 100, also with a resolution 72, and we're going to click OK. Now we're going to drag Nick Cage over, and we're going to drag him into our canvas. And you want to drag him up into the corner. And now we're going to duplicate this image to create 4 layers. So, Command Option J, enter, Command Option J, enter, Command Option J, enter. Alright, and then just click one of the layers and move it down. Then click another layer, move it over. Then click the last layer, move it kitty corner. So now we have 4 Nicolas Cages in one canvas. So now we're going to go to Layer, and we're going to scroll down to Flatten Image. So now all the layers are combined together. And now we're going to press Command-Shift-U to desaturate the image. And now we're going to go to Edit, Define Pattern, and we're going to we're going to hit OK. Okay, now back at the main image, we need to create a new layer. And now we'll go to Edit and go to Fill. And then we will use a pattern. And then we want to make sure that our custom pattern is selected. And I made one before. You can choose either one. Well, I can only choose either one. You can use the one that we made. And now it's filled in. So now what we want to do is we want to change the blend mode to overlay. And we're going to adjust the opacity just a little bit, just so I can make Dad's face a little more visible without taking away. That looks pretty good. And now we're going to crop out my father's head using the crop tool. Alright. That looks pretty good. Okay. do that. Oh, have to hit OK. Back. I'm going to go to this. And I'm just going to expand it a little bit. Oh dear. Okay, never mind about that. We'll just leave it like that. Alright, and now we're going to adjust our canvas size. Going to Image, Canvas Size. And we're going to set it to 20.833. I'm going to set the height to 32. Alright, we're going to hit OK. And now we're going to adjust the image size to 1500 by 2304. We're going to hit OK. Now we can drag out the image. I suppose that would have made a little more sense. And there you had it. And now you want to press Command-Shift-L for both of them. Actually, you have to set OK first, then Command-Shift-L. And then it just levels everything out a little bit. And voila! We have our fifth image. I'll be right back as soon as I've got the other image loaded up. Alright, I've got our sixth image loaded up. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and then Levels. And we're going to set it to 40 on the left, 1 in the middle, and 220 on the outside. We're going to hit OK. Now we're going to go to Filters. Then we're going to go to the Filter Gallery. We're going to go to Artistic. And then we're going to choose Film Grain. And we want to set these to 4, 0, and 10. And we're going to hit OK. So now we're going to make a duplicate of this layer. And now we're going to go to Filter, Pixelate, and then Color Halftone. And we're going to set the max radius to 4. Alright, now we're going to set the blending mode to darken. And we're going to we're going to go to our effects here. We're going to go to stroke. And we're going to set the width to 20. And we're going to set it inside. And we're going to make sure our color is black. Alright. Now, go to your rectangle tool here. And you're going to want to draw a rectangle. In about the middle, bottom part of the image. And we're going to make sure that it's white. You can do this by switching to the background color. And then using the paint bucket tool, which is the gradient tool. And it'll ask you to rasterize, and you can hit OK. And then you can paint it white. Alright. Now, you can add a stroke to that. I'm going to experiment with my stroke. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I decided on a stroke of 10 and made sure to put it on the inside, and I left it at black. And also, I'm going to make a little bit of a change to my original stroke. And I'm actually going to set it to red. I think it looks nice to me. Alright. Next, we're going to take our text tool, which is right here. We're going to make sure we have Rosewood STD font, and we're going to draw text box. We're going to make sure you have 94-point font, and then type. And you're going to make sure you want it in black font so you can see it. And then I'm going to type and make sure that you drag it above the rectangle. And then just move it to your liking. That looks pretty good right there. And then just make sure everything's centered so it looks nice. And now we're going to create a new layer. And we're going to use the selection tool right here to select everything inside of our frame. The rectangular selection tool, mind you. Now we're going to go to Edit, Stroke, and we're going to leave this at 4, and we're going to make our color black, and the location to center. We're going to hit OK. And we're going to press Command D to deselect. And if you notice, that just makes a little black stroke around the image itself and kind of separates our outside stroke from the image. Alright, now we're going to go to Filter, we're going to go to Blur, and then we're going to go to Blur More, and we're going to go to Filter again, we're going to go to Distort, and then we're going to go to Ripple, and set the amount to 20%. And now, well, first of all, you're going to make sure that your original layer is selected. And now we're going to go to Filter, Blur, Blur More. And then we're going to go to Filter, Distort, Ripple, 20%, okay. And then we're going to go to Filter, then Sharpen More. And this just kind of makes a nice little final look for our image. And that's it. That's the last of our 6 images that we're going to edit. My name is Chase Hobbit, and I hope you learned something today as I've showed you some of the tricks of Adobe Photoshop CS6. Thank you very much, and see you next time.